NBA Showtime is brought to you by E-Trade, the #1 place to invest online.
Hi, everybody. Hannah Storm back at Madison Square Garden along with Isaiah Thomas, Peter Bessie, and Bill Walton. Well, Bill, finally in Game 3, the Knicks played like they did to beat Indiana.
Hannah, they did it by overcoming their tendency to play 5 different games rather than the team game necessary to win at this level. Latrell Sprewell with a solid all-around performance. 5 assists. Mark your calendars, an historic occasion. Allen Houston with a Walt Frazier-esque performance, all about control and leadership. For San Antonio, though, after a hosing in Game 3, tonight they come with an edgy, focused attitude of, okay, now we know what the rules are. The game plan for the Spurs, all about broad shoulders, high elbows, and no more Mr. Nice Guy smiley face. The Knicks have to play the game of their life tonight. If they lose here, it's over.
You almost took Peter out. It's only the pregame, Bill. Come on. Meanwhile, Tim Duncan shut down in the 4th quarter, but David Robinson had 25, highest scoring game of the playoffs.
Yeah, Hannah, make no mistake about it. David Robinson is the leader of this Spurs team. And the Knicks respect David Robinson because they put the tougher defender on Robinson, which frees up Duncan to play against smaller, weaker players. Robinson is so big and strong, and what those numbers really don't show you is what Robinson is doing to the Knicks big men. He's getting them in foul trouble, getting into their depleted bench. Last game, he shot 17 free throws. Look for David Robinson to continue his march to the free throw line tonight.
Avery Johnson had a miserable Game 3, Peter. 4 assists, 6 turnovers.
That's right, and to me, he is the key to the Spurs' success, and his assist-to-turnover ratio is way down. Jeff Van Gundy has figured it out. He's playing Childs and Ward against him. They don't have to pace themselves. They know he's a lefty, so they're forcing him to his right, giving him a lot of help. But the critical thing is, right now, the condition of Childs' left knee.
He hasn't practiced since he was injured during Game 3, and a quick update on Chris Childs has a sprained left knee. He will wear a brace tonight and will try to play coming off the Knicks bench. Well, this postseason has showcased the considerable talents of the Knicks' Allen Houston. Houston is the son of a coach. His father, Wade, was an assistant under Denny Crum at Louisville, then coached Allen at Tennessee.
He would definitely teach me in certain things, but it wasn't like I felt pressure to play. I was just around the game and grew up. My life was just basketball. That's what it was.
He started walking in the gym when he was maybe a little over a year old. I was coaching in high school in Louisville, and he took his first steps in the gym, and he just developed a love for the game early.
He never pressured me, even when I was little. He never pressured me, and so he never said, go out there and shoot so many jump shots. It was always me not being able to beat my sisters up that made me go out there and shoot, you know what I mean? So it never...
They were older than you, I hope?
No, they were younger, so I couldn't... I wasn't allowed to, touch them. So I had to go out and let my frustration out on the basketball court.
When he's the assistant coach of Louisville, you're around some pretty heavyweight players.
I remember from 7, 8 years old when Darryl Griffith, Bobby Turner, all the way up until my freshman year in high school, all those guys were my big brothers, all of them. And I would go in the gym in the summertime, 8th, 9th grade, and go play with them. At first, they didn't let me play at first because they didn't really take me serious.
Right, so how'd you get in the game?
I think it was just a matter of me just keep going in there and shooting. And if some days they like, man, I might be a player.
Houston ducks under, got it!
I remember shooting in a game of horse with Darryl Griffith, and went out. Actually, it was in the Reunion Arena, I think it was, and in Purvis, they were in the Final Four. On the other end, while they were practicing, it was like 10,000 people watching the practice, and he tried to start taking me out to the three-point line, and I was kind of matching him a little bit. He probably got me at the end, but I put up a good fight. And when I got back to the hotel, people were like, "Hey, good shooting, man, good shooting."
People were watching.
Yeah, they were watching us, and they weren't really watching the practice. They were kind of going back and forth. But those are the memories I had in growing up with Louisville and my father, and just being able to being blessed to have an opportunity to be involved. I mean, if I hadn't even played in the NBA, those are the memories I could have had.
An emerging NBA star. We'll hear more from Allen Houston at halftime. Houston and the Knicks will try to hand the Spurs back-to-back losses for the first time since February. Game 4 between the Spurs and Knicks is coming up. The NBA Finals continue on NBC right after these messages.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Brewery Fresh Budweiser, the official beer sponsor of the NBA. By PricewaterhouseCoopers. Join us. Together we can change the world. And by Nike.
A quick check of the starting lineups. No changes, of course, for San Antonio. When you lose one game, but you've won 44 of 51, you're not going to fiddle with anything. Camby is back in the starting lineup for the second time in a row for New York, but he's got to stay on the floor. Because of foul trouble, he managed only 16 minutes on Monday night. Let's check with Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Bob. The loss in Game 3 has not affected the confident swagger of San Antonio Spurs. David Robinson told me that a lot of people were disappointed because they were thinking sweep. No one on this team ever thought that. He said this is the NBA Finals. They knew the New York Knicks would not lay down. What it did do is cause them to refocus, find out what they did wrong, and come back even better, more ready. Let's go down to Jim Gray.
All right, thank you very much, Ahmad. Well, I spoke with Jeff Van Gundy, and he told me he's very upset with Mario Elie and Sean Elliott for their comments after Game 3. He says every time we win a game, the other team says that it's because we got a good whistle, that the officials helped us. Well, I'm sick of it. If anybody's getting the benefit of the doubt in this series, it's the Spurs. They've shot 27 more free throws. Why don't these guys just stand up and say, we played better, we won the game? Seems as though Jeff Van Gundy, after 4 games and saying he couldn't find any Spurs to dislike, has found some, Bob.
Jim, thanks a lot. The officials tonight are Hugh Evans, Ron Garrettson, and Mike Mathis. The Spurs in San Antonio in the first 2 games were whistled for 31 total fouls. They were called for 27 fouls in their Game 3 loss here.
Well, foul trouble is definitely going to be a key tonight. And I think, once again, Bob, we need to look for the energy and effort we know is going to be there for New York in this first quarter. They got off to a great start, led by as many as 14 in Game 3. I thought that was critical. Can they get the same kind of results tonight?
The tip to New York. Charlie Ward guarded by Avery Johnson. Here's Larry Johnson finding Camby, but cutting in front to break it up is Avery Johnson. So the Knicks, who turned it over only 10 times to San Antonio's 20 giveaways in Game 3, give it up right away in Game 4, and Avery Johnson, who had the steal, then converts the basket at the other end.
Well, it looks like Popovich wants to get his perimeter players off early. Avery Johnson with that early score.
Spurs never led in Game 3, up 2-0 here. Sprewell ties it. Avery Johnson gets into the paint and goes to the right hand for the miss. And now Mario Elie, who was quickly in foul trouble in Game 3, picks up a personal here, 1 minute and 8 seconds into Game 4.
Well, those are the fouls you cannot commit, Bob. Those fouls out there that lead to nothing. And Mario Elie tried to get into that passing lane and got the foul. And he's got to stay on the floor because he's their most physical defender down there and can play against Allen Houston. Looks like they've made the change already. Sean Elliott playing Allen Houston tonight.
Houston's first shot spins out. Duncan with the rebound. A double on Elliott, and Ward comes over and knocks it out of bounds. Sean Elliott will throw it in. He's averaging only 8 points a game so far in this series. Through his career, he's been a much bigger scorer than that. Ellie drives baseline.
See, early, who's taking the shots? Ellie, Avery Johnson. I think this is a conscious effort not to let those guys get lost here early in the game. He knows Robinson and Duncan can get involved anytime.
Houston backing away from Elliott. Giving it up to Sprewell. Out high, Johnson for 3. Ward flying in to try to save it, and does. Good play by Charlie Ward. Now here's Houston. It's blocked away and cleanly. The ball made contact with the rim, and they got a fresh 24. Sprewell's shot is a high arcer, and he gets the bounce.
His 2 shots have been very, very difficult ones. High arcing shot that time over David Robinson. But I'll tell you one thing you have to watch for, Bob. Right now, New York much more aggressive on the boards.
Avery Johnson trying to hand it to David Robinson. There's a New York foul. It's number 1 on Charlie Ward.
Looks like San Antonio is trying to run more screen roll here to get started rather than just direct post up. That's to get you more movement rather than get you standing.
Elliott from the side hits the 3. They've been waiting a long time for that.
Well, they need him. You know, Bob, he is their 3rd best scorer, and we've seen what he's done in the playoffs this year.
How about the ball movement around the perimeter? That's more like the Spurs. Nice pass from Johnson to Camby. He gets it back. Can't put it home, but he was fouled.
You're right about the ball movement. That's when they're at their best, swinging that ball around the perimeter, out of the double teams. Elliott hits the shot, but we see Camby very aggressive here early. And Bobby's got to channel this. He can't allow this to create the negative things. He got an early foul trouble. That's been his tendency. And then as he gets tired, he has played better.
New York already has 3 offensive rebounds. Spurs have none.
See the free throw disparity in games 1 and 2. It was 66 attempts for San Antonio. Then in game 3, you saw the difference, 30-22. But you know what, Bob? When you're aggressive, when you're going to the basket, you're going to get those calls. And that's what happened in the game the other night. New York were the aggressors on the offensive boards, forcing turnovers in every category.
Camby, just a 55% free throw shooter, makes them both. Duncan from Ellie. Into the lane, on the run, missed it. Robinson keeping it alive, gets it back, can't put it down. But finally, the 3rd try is there on the tip. Tim Duncan's first basket.
You know, Camby's guarding David Robinson, and he's a shot blocker, so someone's going to have to get their body on David Robinson. Now, that's twice he's got his hands on the ball early on the offensive backboard.
Houston. Got it.
He's playing with such great confidence. He missed his first couple shots. Doesn't even hesitate on that jump shot.
Duncan turns and banks it in. Spurs by 3. Sprewell guarded by Ellie. Takes him into the lane, and Mike Mathis blows his whistle. An offensive foul gives it back to San Antonio.
See, Camby leaves his feet, so nobody blocks out David Robinson. So he gets a piece of it once, keeps it alive again. This time it's Tim Duncan lays it in. So that shot blocker goes, Bob. One of those weak side guys got to get back there and bump David Robinson, get into his legs so he can't jump.
Foul on Sprewell was his first. Elliott again. Can't hit a second successive 3. Robinson puts it home on the putback. And this is more offensive rebounding than we've seen of late from San Antonio. Knicks ask for time. They trail by 5 with 7:20 to play in the first quarter of Game 4 at Madison Square Garden. In the first 3 games of this series, David Robinson had exactly 1 offensive rebound. Tonight, he's got 4.
Well, that's one of the keys because second shot opportunities, that's created with Avery Johnson getting in the paint and creating opportunities so people have to help. And Jim Gray during that timeout said that Jeff Van Gundy said, we could live with Robinson and Duncan. Keep him out of the paint so others can't get involved.
Sprewell looking for Houston. Trying to lob it over Elliott. Houston touched it last. There was an offensive foul before the touch, and it's on Houston trying to push off to get position.
Wow, that's an interesting call. Now, you've already seen in 2 post-ups, Allen Houston with a foul and Latrell Sprewell, much different than we saw the other night.
Where it was widely felt that the Knicks got the benefit of a majority of the calls. Avery Johnson. San Antonio by 7.
See, San Antonio's made an unbelievable adjustment here, Bob. They're getting Elliott and Avery Johnson involved. Very, very smart.
Houston drives baseline into a crowd and hits against 3 defenders.
The one thing that Allen Houston wants to do is keep driving that ball to the basket. And from New York, they want to play from ahead. Tonight, they are down 5. A little different story when they dominated the first quarter of Game 3.
Avery Johnson got into the lane and paid for it. Larry Johnson fouled him.
Allen Houston's going to get caught with pushing on his off arm right here with the left arm. Boy, that's a touch foul right there. Normally, what they'll do is just let the ball go out of bounds. Allen Houston, next time down, they want to push him to the outside to a shot blocker. Nice off the little finger roll there by Allen Houston as he drove that ball to the basket. But, Bob, San Antonio's whole defensive philosophy is keep you out of the middle, push you to the baseline, run you to a shot blocker who hopefully will alter your shot. That was a great play by Allen.
Avery Johnson, a poor Game 3 with 6 turnovers. Off to a good start here. Makes both free throws. San Antonio with a 7-point lead. Charlie Ward finds the range with a 3. Ward, to be honest, has given the Knicks next to nothing.
And he's actually played better than Childs, so that tells you what's happened. But the one thing they've done, Bob, is they've done a great job pressuring the guard.
David Robinson with a 15-footer that goes down.
Everybody involved right now for San Antonio. They're in a very, very good offensive rhythm.
Ward, who had a hopeful sign a moment ago, finds Houston for 3. It rattles out on him. The rebound to Duncan and the outlet to Avery Johnson. It's taken away from him by Ward. Now a foot race with Robinson. Ward goes for the trap. Camby, who slams it home. A smart move by Charlie Ward.
He's got those quarterback eyes. He played quarterback and he was reading the field that time. He looked over his shoulder and he saw he had Camby. That's a nice play.
So he lateraled, huh?
He lateraled, absolutely.
Johnson trying to bounce it to Duncan. Turn around in the lane. Short. Camby grabs the rebound. His jumper. Overshot. Chased down by Duncan. And Mike Mathis stops play. Avery Johnson has some blood on his right elbow. And by rule, he has to leave.
Back-to-back plays by Charlie Ward. He reads that Avery Johnson's going to give him that jump shot, so he just gets himself together in nice rhythm. And then the great steal, Avery Johnson tries to cross him over. He picks his pocket, and as he drives the ball down the floor, watch him peek over his right shoulder. Right there, he sees what's happening, gets David Robinson to commit, and then the powerful finish from Camby. See, when you get a player like Camby, those kind of baskets, it energizes, it makes him that much better.
Like he was running the option at Florida State.
That's right.
Kerr is in for Avery Johnson, who's out to have his elbow bandaged, and Duncan does it again. Duncan, who scored 20 in Game 3, has 6 already tonight. He was held scoreless 0 for 4 from the floor in the fourth quarter when the game was being decided on Monday. Ward spinning. Charlie Ward feeling it all of a sudden.
7 now points from Charlie Ward as he's really picked up the pace here now. But, Bob, the interesting thing here, Steve Kerr already in the game for Avery Johnson.
And here's Kerr dumping it into Duncan for the turnaround off the glass. 8 points for Tim.
And Bob, to follow that up, because Avery's out with the blood and Steve Kerr's in, look for Charlie Ward to continue to try to attack him. So they're going to try to get him back in as soon as possible. They do not like to play Steve Kerr as a point guard. They want to play him more as a shooter. So see if Charlie Ward continues to go at him here.
Larry Johnson backing away with the dribble. And another whistle. Illegal defense against San Antonio. First one's a warning, as you know. Second one a technical. Kurt Thomas makes his first appearance. Camby goes out.
Now they have a very small lineup out there. I'm sure that Camby has no fouls, probably a little winded right now. Probably a good substitution by Jeff Van Gundy. Does not want him to pick up a little touch foul as he gets a little tired.
Larry Johnson. His first basket.
Bob, you get a sense these teams, now this is the 4th time they've played this year. They have not seen each other all season long. They're starting to get into a rhythm now, knowing how to play against each other.
Duncan with the bump and the shot that's no good. Here comes Houston. Sprewell. And Duncan is alone on the glass. Kerr turns to Hugh Evans and asks for timeout. It comes with 3:05 to play in the first. And San Antonio in front by 4. You're watching the NBA Finals on NBC. Monday night, Avery Johnson and the Spurs saw their record 12-game playoff winning streak snapped by the Knicks. Losing is something the Spurs are not exactly used to. They're winners of 44 of their last 51.
Oh my God. The day after a loss, things aren't the same, you know. The food tastes different. You wake up, you just got this funny feeling that you don't, and you know you don't like to feel this way. And you know how you like to feel after a win, and that's where you want to be. So we do take it personally, not so much where we're going to get out of our games or somebody's going to try to put the team on their shoulders and lead them to victory. But it's a certain way that we respond, and I'm hoping we're going to respond like that in Game 4.
Look at those figures. As you see, they respond to a loss with a vengeance. And the last time they lost 2 in a row was back on February 28th, the loss that dropped them to 6-8. And at that point, they turned everything around.
And make no mistake about it, Bob, when Avery Johnson speaks, this team listens to what he has to say. He's one of the real leaders.
How could you not listen?
He and Ellie both. They never stop talking.
You're a captive audience. The jumper by Duncan spills off. The rebound to Larry Johnson. Houston pulls up and fires. Allen Houston stays high.
I love that early offense for New York because it takes the shot blocking out of the game for San Antonio. Those shot blockers then become ineffective. They only blocked 3 in Game 3 after 7 the first 2 games.
Robinson's out. Rose in for the Spurs. Mario Ellie to the hoop. The jumper, or that set shot, really, that he takes has not been there for him throughout the playoffs. He's trying to get his offense by going to the rack.
That was too easy there. Allen Houston just escorted him to the basket. Now all 5 starters have scored for San Antonio and for New York. Both teams in a great offensive rhythm.
Ward. What's up with Charlie Ward?
Tell you what's up. He likes the matchup right now. With Steve Kerr on him, he knows he's got to give him some daylight, back off of him, and he's taking advantage of it right now. That's good basketball.
But he started doing it with Avery on him.
Absolutely.
He's a new man tonight. Duncan on the drive is fouled and goes down hard. It's number 1 on Kurt Thomas.
Allen Houston comes down the floor. He sees the defense is back, but New York has to look for this kind of early offense. It plays into then being able to get to the basket later, and then Charlie Ward, see the space that Steve Kerr gives him, doesn't think he's going to take the shot. Once you get a couple shots, you gain some confidence, and Charlie Ward is playing exceptionally well here in this first period.
Ellie out, Jaren Jackson in. This is Jackson. 17 points in Game 1, 3 points total since. His pass intercepted by Charlie Ward. Ward with 10 points now. His 3 and then his steal and drive have given the Knicks the lead.
Looks like Mario Ellie's down on the court holding his leg. They're going to have to take a timeout. Where Jaren Jackson threw a bad pass. Mario Ellie is very upset at him as he lays on the court right now.
Let's see if we can find out what happened.
A tough pass by Jackson, and you see he gets his leg straight, and he comes down on the floor. The right leg is straight, the left leg is bent. Bad pass across court by Jaren Jackson, and Charlie Ward again with those football instincts. This time instead of a quarterback, he's a free safety. Picks it off and goes in for the layup. So Charlie Ward is jump-starting his team. Jeff Van Gundy very, very happy. You don't expect this from Charlie Ward.
Charlie Ward, the 1993 Heisman Trophy winner at Florida State. Also a good baseball player. The Yankees and Brewers each pursued him. The question is, not is he a great athlete? He clearly is. Is he an NBA point guard? Through most of this season and most of these playoffs, he really has not been. But tonight, what a performance in this first quarter.
Well, they're going to need it, Bob, because questions about Chris Childs' knee. He might have to play heavy minutes tonight with Childs being hurt.
Here's Steve Kerr. Pulls up in the lane and hits the 10-footer.
That's at least 8 or 9 screen rolls that they've run to totally spread the offense out, and they're getting in the lane, Bob, something we did not see in the first couple games with their perimeter people.
Spurs back in front by 1. Sprewell's pass for Camby, touch over to Thomas. The basket does not count. A jump ball is called. Malik Rose got over there with a good defensive play. Let's check in with Ahmad.
All right, Bob, when Mario Elie, just on that stolen pass right there, when he came down on the ground, he banged the top of his knee on the ground. It's listed now as just a bruise. They have ice on it, and they do expect him to come back and play. Bob?
Thanks, Ahmad. The tip to San Antonio. Avery Johnson, his right elbow now bandaged. To Rose, driving through the lane, offensive foul. Kurt Thomas set up and took the charge.
See, that's just as good as a shot block. When you can step up there and take that charge, that's a possession for your team. Now, Bob, we got a little over 40 seconds. New York's got a chance to get a 2-for-1 high-scoring game. I don't know if New York wants that or not, though. I think San Antonio has much more firepower.
I know the fans want it.
That's true.
Folks watching around America prefer this to 72-70. Houston with a hand in his face from Elliott, but a whistle from Hugh Evans. Foul number 1 on Elliott.
See, when you post Allen Houston, Bob, what it does is he's closer to the basket. He doesn't have to expend as much energy to get there, and the weak side defense can't come over as soon, so it gives him quicker options, and he's such a good shooter that if he catches it at 15 or 20 feet, he'll just raise up and shoot the ball. So I think this is great strategy to do this, to post him up.
Here we go.
Charlie Ward, who already has his high point production of the series in this first quarter alone, gives it up to Houston, and an illegal defense. That's the second one called on San Antonio. So the Knicks will shoot, and Houston will do it. And you can log on to NBA.com to get game analysis from Cybercast host Steve Snapper Jones. The multifaceted cyber snapper is currently analyzing the game in progress, in addition to answering fan questions. It's all at NBA.com, your ultimate online resource for the NBA playoffs. After hitting the tee, Allen Houston is still perfect from the line in these finals, 19 for 19. Seconds. Houston to Thomas, who juggles it, gets the shot off, and hits it. With 1 second to play. The Knicks trailed by 7 at one point in the first quarter. They ended in front by 2.
Watching the NBA Finals on NBC.
Rather than just posting up Duncan and Robinson, San Antonio has diversified their offense here by getting penetration, a lot off screen rolls. Avery Johnson gets in the lane and he gets a score. Mario Ellie does the same. He drives the ball to the basket. Then from the left side of the floor, drives in and lays it in once again. And then Steve Kerr with a pump fake, and he gets in the lane. So right now, the perimeter player is very actively involved, and you see how important it is. 28% games 1 of 2 of Portland. Right on down line, but they need, Bob, to give this Twin Towers some help on the perimeter, because you know when it's all said and done, Robinson and Duncan are probably going to have anywhere from 40 to 50 points.
Avery Johnson around Duncan's screen. Ward right with him. Duncan gets it, fires from 20, and it's short. Sprewell with Jaren Jackson defending. Snaps a pass cross court that eludes Kurt Thomas, and on the turnover, it belongs to the Spurs.
Sprewell is not a good ball handler. He will get careless if you pressure him with a double team. That was an errant pass. Bob, San Antonio does not like the double team. They don't do it very often, as we see Ellie come back into the ball game. After banging that knee, Sean Elliott sits down. But San Antonio doesn't like to double team the post, and it causes them problems. It gets those big guys running around.
Here is Ellie. Thought about taking the three, instead drives to the hoop. Looking for Duncan. There to pick it up is Jaren Jackson. 5 seconds to shoot. Malik Rose with a long one. Outside his range, really. And the rebound to Sprewell. Knicks quickly back. Camby catch and shoot.
So vital for him to stay out of foul trouble. They were very fortunate. He got in foul trouble in game 3, played only 16 minutes. They could get a win. They need him 35, 36 minutes tonight.
Jaren Jackson lost it. Let's go to Jim Gray.
All right, thanks, Bob, as Chris Childs checks in. Right after the introduction to the lineups, Chris Childs went back into the locker room to try and keep his left knee warm, had his brace tightened up a little bit, came back and watched the rest of the first quarter. So he's been trying to stay a little bit warm. Talked to him before the game. He said it's considerably swollen. He's going to have some trouble, but he wants to try and play through it. Bob?
Thanks, Jim. Childs in with New York on a 10-2 run right now. Sprewell misses the turnaround. Duncan against Thomas. Around the perimeter, Mario Ellie. Ellie on the drive, broken up by Camby. New York racing back. Sprewell to Camby. Can't finish it. Ellie with Sprewell on him. Slicing through and then dishing to Duncan. And an illegal defense this time against the Knicks.
This crowd would have erupted had Marcus Camby been able to finish on that play. He had the great block shot. He got in the lane and filled. Had he been able to finish, this crowd would have been on their feet. But this is what Marcus Camby's done. This is the little medium-range catch-and-shoot jumper that if he will get in his arsenal, will so expand his game. We know he can block shots. This is what he does best. And then get out and run the floor. So Camby off to a great start. New York leads by 4, 9:58 to go. And you're watching the NBA on NBC.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Miller Lite. Taste a true Pilsner beer. By the rugged new Montana from Pontiac. Life is more exciting in Montana. And by Gatorade Thirst Quencher, helping you play longer and stronger when it counts the most. Gatorade, is it in you?
David Robinson returns. Missed a little more than 5 minutes on the game clock. But about 17 and a half minutes of actual rest. Avery Johnson throws up that left-handed runner.
New York's got to be a little concerned. Those guards are getting in that lane. And if they start coming over the New York big men to help, that's going to free up Duncan and Robinson. That's got to be a concern right now, even though New York still leads by 2.
8 points for Avery Johnson. Childs pass finds Camby, but it spills off for him. Bouncing to Sprewell. Misses the bank. Ellie leaves it for Avery Johnson. Cut off as he heads into the lane, so he backs away. And Mike Mathis says hold on. New York foul on Kurt Thomas as we check with Jim Gray.
Thanks, Bob. As Doug was talking about a little bit earlier, Jeff Van Gundy keeps emphasizing during the timeouts, do not let Avery Johnson get into the lane. When he gets into the lane, he is able to create for himself or open up the three-pointers. Give Duncan or Robinson their points when they're in the game, but keep Avery out of the lane. So far, they haven't been very successful. Bob?
Johnson with the head fake decides against the shot. Jerome Kersey is in the game for the first time. He hasn't seen much playing time at all of late. Same move for Avery Johnson, same result. He's got 10 points.
How about the leading scorers in the game? Charlie Ward with 10 and Avery Johnson with 10. Bob, I bet I could have won a little bet with you on that tonight, right? Early in this game?
Somehow you didn't offer it before the opening tip.
Because I knew that would have been a losing proposition with you.
Larry Johnson finds Camby cutting through the lane. And another whistle. It's on David Robinson, his second.
So concerned about the big guys. Kurt Thomas does not want to help because he's afraid that David Robinson will go to the basket. Camby tries to block the shot. Back-to-back baskets by getting in the lane for Avery Johnson.
New York turnover as Ellie comes up with the interception. Duncan guarded by Dudley. Childs over on the double. Avery Johnson swings it to Jerome Kersey. And Jerome Kersey, not heard from in quite some time, hits his first shot. He went to the finals with the Trailblazers in both 90 and 92.
Jeff Van Gundy's going to talk about the defense. He cannot be happy. They've given up 33 points already, and the Knicks are finding a way to score, Bob. They only averaged 72 points in the first two games, 31 already tonight. But their defense has got to be better than this. Avery Johnson recognizes the switch. He's got the quickness on Larry Johnson, that little floating left-hand hook, and then great ball movement. Jerome Kersey's going to be on the receiving end of a nice little penetrating pass from Avery Johnson, and the supporting cast is actively involved tonight.
Kersey's first basket of the finals gives the Spurs the lead.
We get a look at Allen Houston sitting on the bench beside Charlie Ward. Since they have sat down, they've been outscored 6-0. Now, Jeff Van Gundy's got to be very careful. He's got Childs out there who's really a non-scorer, and Dudley. He has to watch this lineup closely, Bob. Allen Houston's played all but 12 minutes of this series. They got to get him back in the game.
Here's Sprewell. Now they set it up with Childs, working behind a Johnson screen. And the foul is on Avery Johnson, his first. Ellie up on Sprewell, who puts it behind the back, throws up the floater. Could have been a three-point play. As it is, he'll come to the line and shoot two. Join NBC on Saturday as the world's best tennis players gather at the All England Club for the world's most prestigious championship, Wimbledon. With his win at the French, Andre Agassi has regained his status as one of the world's best. Yesterday, Agassi began his march toward a second straight Grand Slam with an easy first-round victory. That's the championships, Wimbledon. NBC coverage begins Saturday at 1 Eastern. We assume that John McEnroe will make his way back across the pond in time for the weekend coverage on NBC. Of course, with McEnroe, any assumption is risky.
Well, we see Sean Elliott come into the game. The reason he's coming back into the game is because on this free throw, Jeff Van Gundy has brought Allen Houston back into the game. We know it's a game of matchups, so Sean Elliott will be matched up once again with Allen Houston.
Sprewell hit them both, tied the game at 33. Johnson races across against Childs. Duncan with the screen. Around the perimeter, here's Elliott. Sean Elliott finding the range which had eluded him earlier in this series.
I think it's really smart what San Antonio is doing right now. Duncan is 3 of 8 for the game. The rest of the team is 13 for 20. You know Duncan eventually is going to get his. Now everybody's involved. I think that's very positive for San Antonio.
Houston comes back and immediately makes his presence felt.
You know, he was talking about watching, as a young guy, watching films and stuff of Walt Frazier and Earl Monroe, 2 great New York guards and won championships here. That little mid-range jump shot, he said they were so effective. That's what he's doing.
Robinson almost lost it. Duncan covers up. Elliott's alone for 3 and gets an incredible bounce to Cannon.
Remember, they said they liked the rims here. Tim Duncan, when he came in, he said, I love these rims. That was a kind bounce for Sean Elliott. He's off to a great start. What is that, 8 points for Elliott now?
Pair of threes and a 2-point jumper off the baseline.
Well, he had only 7 points in the entire game 3. He's so critical. And once again, it's Avery Johnson with that drive that just sort of opens everything up. Sean Elliott hits that little jumper and then follows it up with a 3.
He was just hit with his second foul. New York ball from the side as play resumes. Here's Dudley. Prior to that, Dudley had missed 13 of his last 14 field goal attempts.
When you double team, you allow a guy like Chris Dudley to get a layup. That's why the Spurs don't like to do it, but they have to do it right now against Sprewell in Houston.
And at the other end, Dudley appears to have fouled Robinson. And it's number 1 on Chris.
See, but with Sean Elliott playing well and the perimeter players, what it does, it forces Houston and Sprewell to expend some energy on defense, something they had to do a lot of in the first 2 series and haven't done much of here.
Avery Johnson. Dudley with the rebound. Childs to Sprewell, pulls up and connects. Knicks getting it from a number of sources tonight.
This has been the best game of the series. Well played by both teams.
Robinson, jumper over Dudley, bounces home. 8 for the Admiral. He hasn't been to the free throw line yet. He shot 17 free throws the other night in the course of scoring 25 points. Houston, Johnson for 3. Avery Johnson takes the rebound. Duncan against the smaller Johnson, who fouled him.
San Antonio knows they have a mismatch inside it. Anytime they want to go into David Robinson or Tim Duncan, the little bump there by David Robinson, that sweet little left-hand jump shot. And once again, those kind rims, that's about 4 bounces. Patrick Ewing says, man, why can't I play? I want to play. This is the time of the year to be out there, and I can't be a part of this team. It's got to be killing him inside, Bob.
San Antonio by 1. 5 minutes to play in the half. Duncan fades, fires, and puts it down off the glass.
Patience. He is just taking his time after a 3 for 8 start. Now he's in his last 2 shots, so he's working himself into the game.
Jackson trying to contend with Houston. To the side for Johnson. And his 3 is no good. In these finals, Larry Johnson is now 2 of 15 from 3-point range. Elliott again. Loose ball fought for, and Hugh Evans says no, a San Antonio foul.
Jaren Jackson pulled Allen Houston down by the shoulder. Tim Duncan almost made a spectacular tip-in on that play.
Instead, Jackson winds up with his first foul. Chris Childs running the point now for New York. Jeff Van Gundy told us yesterday that if this were the regular season, that banged up knee would have him out for about a week to 10 days. But he's gritting it out in the finals.
Well, I'm not so sure I'd leave Charlie Ward sitting over there too long. We know Chris Childs is a little banged up, but Charlie Ward is playing very, very well tonight. And I know Jeff likes to split those minutes. But sometimes that guy who's hot, you got to get him back out there and go against your rotation sometimes.
That was Houston's first missed free throw of this series. He's now 19 of 20. And he hits the second. Jaren Jackson hasn't done anything since game 1.
That was a bad shot. He should have thrown that ball into the post. He forced that shot.
Larry Johnson spinning on Elliott. And a foul is called. No, making a travel. A travel on Larry Johnson.
That could have been a big foul. I think that would have been Sean Elliott's third, and he's playing well. They cannot lose him. What's happened now, they've got Sean Elliott matched up against Larry Johnson. As New York has gone big, they forced now Elliott to play him.
Well, Elliott hit him, but a microsecond before that, Johnson traveled.
Absolutely. So that's a big non-call there on the foul.
Here's Duncan against Dudley. Larry Johnson takes it. Houston quickly back into the lane, left hand. Johnson on the offensive glass. Houston. And Elliott takes it, flipping it to Johnson. San Antonio asked for time. 3:18 to play in the first half. They lead it by a basket in pursuit of a 3-1 lead in the series.
Hi, everybody. Hannah Storm here. Coming up on the Prudential Halftime Report, we'll hear from the Knicks' Allen Houston. He has had some incredible highs during this postseason. He scored 32 points in a Game 6 victory against the Pacers. And then less than 24 hours later, his first child was born.
All of a sudden go from everything that we went through, and being in New York and being up and down, AC, and nobody believed in anything. Then we're in the finals. The next day, you have your first child. And I was just like, wow, I was just overwhelmed.
Lots more with Allen Houston coming up at halftime. Let's go back to courtside now and rejoin Bob and Doug.
Thanks, Hannah. Allen Houston's dad, Wade, longtime high school and college coach. So Allen's been around the game his whole life.
Well, also, Allen got a taste of being a father the other night. Sunday night, he got up in the middle of the night. The baby was crying. You see that little scratch on his forehead there. He got into the refrigerator and banged his head early in the morning. He said he was embarrassed. He thought he was going to have stitches. So welcome to fatherhood, Allen.
And welcome to trying to defend Tim Duncan, and that goes for everybody in a white shirt.
Well, Popovich called that timeout, and he said, look, we've spread them out. Now throw the ball in the post. He was upset with Jaren Jackson with that last quick shot.
Duncan's got 10. Houston with Elliott on him. Turns, shoots over him, and it spins out. The rebound taken by Duncan. Avery Johnson with the lob to the Admiral. It's broken up. Here's Sprewell. Slams on the brakes, fires the jumper, and draws the foul. It's on Jaren Jackson, his second.
Well, Coach made his point in the timeout. I said, look, get the ball inside. We run our screen rolls. All you guys are involved. Throw the ball into our star. And they do, and they get the score.
If he hits the second, Sprewell can make it a 2-point game.
See, the one thing you don't want to do with Sprewell, Bob, you want to make him take a lot of shots, but don't put him on that foul line. That's how he throws up a big night against you. Jaren Jackson fouled him on that jump shot. You don't want him to do that if you're a coach. Contest, don't foul.
Tim Duncan driving on Dudley, spinning. He'll come to the free throw line. It's Dudley's second. Coverage of the WNBA returns to NBC on Saturday. The Phoenix Mercury against the Detroit Shock. Michelle Timms and the Mercury looking to build upon last year's success as they face Corey Holiday and the Shock. WNBA on NBC Saturday at 4 Eastern.
Saw the Shock play the other day, Bob. My son Chris coached in Detroit last year with Nancy Liebman-Klein. They've got off to a good start. Big win last night against Charlotte. So Phoenix coming to town with Cheryl Miller. That should be very good.
Dudley with some comments from Mike Mathis as he leaves, replaced by Larry Johnson. Duncan converts both free throws. Houston lost it with Jaren Jackson breaking up his pass, but Charlie Ward takes it back just as quickly. His pass eludes Johnson. Now the officials confer, and it was touched last by San Antonio. The Knicks will keep it.
That was a nice steal by Charlie Ward in the open court. It looked like the Spurs had a fast break. Both of the big guys out running on the wing, and Jaren Jackson, not a good ball handler, turned it over. Let's see if the Knicks can take advantage and cut this lead back down to 2.
It was Ward's 3rd steal. He has 2 assists and 10 points. Here's Ward into the lane, finding Camby.
Charlie Ward has been great, Bob. I mean, Jeff Van Gundy's going to have to really watch tonight and keep him on the floor, because this is by far the best he has played.
Avery Johnson. Jaren Jackson lets it go and gives San Antonio a 4-point lead.
Now, see, that shot is fine because that's uncontested, and that's off the little dribble by Avery to get in that lane. But once again, Avery Johnson getting in the paint, causing all kinds of problems.
Ward to Johnson. Larry Johnson against 2 defenders. Doesn't get the roll, but the tip is there.
You see why Camby's got to stay out of foul trouble? He's the only guy on the New York front line who can make that kind of play. That's just an aggressive, energetic, quick jumping play.
10 points and 6 rebounds now for Camby. Duncan from 20. You almost invite him to take that shot because you don't want to deal with him in the post, but you forget that he's such a good outside shooter as well.
Well, that's what makes those big guys so unique. Both of those guys can step out on the floor and do that, Bob. We've seen David Robinson do it. They both like to post.
Hey, don't look now. This game is on pace to be a 100-point game, a rarity these days.
Absolutely, Bob. And Charlie Ward has been very significant during this period of time with his dribble penetration. And you see Marcus Camby with the big finish over David Robinson. And Tim Duncan steps out on the floor. Now he's posted. He's posted. Larry Johnson said, "I'll give you this one." And he said, "Fine, I'll take it." And he knocks that one down from long range.
But on the other side of the coin, you want balanced scoring. Sprewell, Camby, Houston, Ward all have 10. How about that?
I think that's terrific. I think the biggest concern for New York, Bob, as we look at all this scoring is I think a high-scoring game favors San Antonio, because I think that New York has to work harder for their points. So at some point in time, they're going to have to lock in defensively here and get some stops. They can't just keep trading baskets.
Last 45 seconds of the first half. Sprewell spins around Jackson, but coming over to block it is Duncan. Jackson catch and shoot. Jaren Jackson off with it. Camby takes it. Ahead to Houston. Sprewell, not a good three-point shooter, had an open look at it and wisely decided not to hoist it up. Six on the shot clock. Sprewell to Thomas for the jumper. 4 seconds now. San Antonio has to hurry. Jaren Jackson from midcourt. Came pretty close with it. The Spurs will settle for a 4-point halftime lead. Stay tuned for the Prudential halftime report. Hannah Storm will, of course, be joined by Isaiah Thomas, Peter Bessie, and Bill Walton on the Showtime set. You're watching the NBA Finals on NBC.
This is the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by Prudential. Prudential, a leader in insurance, investments, real estate, and financial services. See why Prudential is today's rock-solid choice for your financial needs.
It's halftime of Game 4 of the NBA Finals, with the Spurs leading the Knicks 50-46. Tim Duncan leads all scorers with 14 points, while 4 different Knicks had 10 points apiece, including, of all people, Charlie Ward, who has played a great first half, 3 assists, 3 steals, and no turnovers. Hi, everybody. Hannah Storm along with Isaiah Thomas, Peter Vesey, and Bill Walton. You can bet we'll be talking Charlie Ward in a few minutes. Meanwhile, much has been made of the Knicks' offseason trades for Latrell Sprewell and Marcus Camby, and certainly each of them has provided substantial contributions during this postseason. But just perhaps New York's biggest personnel move came 3 years ago when the Knicks acquired Allen Houston in a rather unconventional way. Peter spoke with Houston about it.
I didn't even really expect New York to be in the picture until almost the last minute, and that was a surprise in itself. Just the fact that they spent time with me outside of the negotiating table, kind of says something to me.
Now you come into the facility, what do you see? Do you remember?
The picture. I saw a picture of me playing in a Knicks uniform. And they kind of superimposed the picture. I had been playing with Detroit, but they put the Knicks uniform on me. And that's something I still have out in my basement today.
And the New York Knicks is definitely flexing.
Mr. Houston, you are the missing piece of the puzzle that is the Knicks championship.
He said something about a case, that he solved or something, and I'm the answer.
You sign that lucrative contract, you automatically go into the Hall of Fame Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. And we will make your champagne wishes and caviar dreams come true.
Obviously, he was talking about the swank mansions of Greenwich, Connecticut, and all this stuff.
In New York, for the Knicks, in the Garden, it's butter.
It made a difference. It did make a difference. I can't say it didn't make a difference because it just showed me that they really, believed in me and looked at me in that way.
Knicks management came to you before they made the Sprewell trade and asked you if you approved of it.
At the time, it kind of caught me off guard. And immediately what I thought was, okay, how is this going to work? We're very similar players. And you wouldn't be human if you didn't think about it a little bit. But ultimately, I saw what is happening now.
No disrespect to Patrick Ewing, but when he comes back, is this your team?
Basically, that happened even before he got hurt. I think we realized as a team, we played with a certain flow. And I don't think it's going to have to be a drastic announcement, team meeting or anything like that. I think it's already happened.
Allen Houston ducks under. Got it! With 8/10 left.
He's putting this team right on his back. All the big shots have been Allen Houston.
I've proven that I can have big nights. And everybody knows that. But what I have to do is prove that I can do that on a consistent basis. When you miss it, you do. When you make it, you're hot. And that's the attitude you basically have to have. And that's the thing sometimes that I fight.
Have you arrived as the man, as the franchise player?
You know what? I've always had that belief in my heart and in my mind. And if that happens, I'm going to welcome it.
Can you take it upon yourself and then accept either the success or the failure that goes with it?
I think now I can. I think earlier I probably did need someone to just throw me in that role. I'm just glad it didn't happen overnight for me, that I've had to learn and take some bumps and bruises.
Why? Why is that?
Well, I think, everything that sometimes you take some pitfalls and you go through some adversity and it makes you stronger and it helps you grow and learn. And I think that's what's happened with me.
The Knicks are going to the NBA Finals as they continue their remarkable run.
I remember Saturday when we got back from San Antonio. That's the first time I really had time to sit back and reflect and think about it and just receive all this, the blessings, and everything. And I almost just came to tears just thinking about it. All of a sudden go from everything that we went through and being in New York and being up and down, A-seed, and nobody believing anything. Then we went to the finals. The next day, you have your first child. And I was just like, wow, I was just overwhelmed.
With his 34-point game on Monday night, Houston became only the 4th different Knick in the last 47 years to score 30 or more points in a finals game. The other 3, it's worth noting, Willis Reed, Walt Frazier, and Dave DeBusschere, are all in the Hall of Fame. When we return, we'll talk about the first half between the Knicks and the Spurs, but first, a message from Prudential and a word from the NBA. At halftime of Game 4, the Spurs lead the Knicks 50-46. The two teams combined for the highest scoring half of the finals thus far. And the biggest surprise in this first half, Charlie Ward exploding for 10 points in the first quarter. He doubled his final scoring average, Isaiah.
Yeah, Charlie Ward came out energized. And where he was energized at is not necessarily on the offensive end, but on the defensive end. He was able to get a steal here off of Avery Johnson. And then as it gets a quick look, dishes it back to Camby for the dunk. Charlie Ward has consistently shot the ball well from the three-point line. And what he's doing right now is he's energizing the Knicks with his defensive play, his hustle, and he's keeping the Knicks involved. What the Knicks have to be careful of right now is that they got to continue to score. They're scoring off opportunity baskets, they're scoring off transition, but they got to make sure that they score in their half-court offensive sets, and they got to shut San Antonio down. San Antonio has 50 points right now. They can't let San Antonio get 90.
Hey, the last time that Ward accounted for as many as 10 points in one quarter, he was wearing shoulder pads. I thought you said he couldn't play football or basketball.
How about my man, Charlie Ward?
We love Ward.
But please, here's a guy, $30 million, and all he gets is a couple of baskets in a half of a half. Please. What really happened in this first half, though, was San Antonio with a great start, Duncan and Robinson. But then they took David Robinson and Avery Johnson out. Inexplicable. Far too many substitutions. Marcus Camby was really big for New York. The key, making and getting big shots down the stretch. How about my man Charlie, though? We're going.
You are such a fair weather fan. It's disgusting. Let's update the key results from Wimbledon today. On the men's side, 5-time Wimbledon champ Pete Sampras won in straight sets. Unseeded American Jim Courier eliminated the 12th seed Carlos Moya in 5 sets. In women's play, Steffi Graf lost the first set but easily won the next 2. The rest of the seeded women won in straight sets. Our 35-plus hours of Wimbledon coverage begins Saturday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. And the Basketball Hall of Fame announced the class of 1999 earlier today. 5 members were elected: Kevin McHale, John Thompson, Wayne Embry, the late Fred Zollner, one of the NBA's founders, and former UCLA women's coach Billy Moore. The Spurs lead the Knicks by 4. We'll send you back to Bob and Doug for the second half after these messages from your local station.
This has been the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by Prudential. Prudential, a leader in insurance, investments, real estate, and financial services. See why Prudential is today's rock-solid choice for your financial needs.
Ahmad Rashad back at Madison Square Garden where the Spurs lead by 4. Coach Popovich, was it a concerted effort on your part to get everybody involved in the first half?
Well, we hope to. You know, we wanted to make some substitutions and see if we could get everybody involved in what we're doing out there rather than wait so long to substitute like we did last game.
How about this high-paced game? Does that suit you?
I don't know, Ahmad. We'll see. The turnovers on the break have been scary. You know, we've had some good break opportunities and turned it over, so perhaps we got to use a little bit more judgment there. But we run pretty well because the big guys like getting down the floor.
All right, Coach. Good luck to you in the second half.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's go over to Jim Gray.
With Jeff Van Gundy outside the Knicks locker room, Avery Johnson, 5 assists, 10 points. How are you going to keep him out of the paint here in the second half?
We have to do a better job in our pick-and-roll defense. And first 3 games, we did a good job. Tonight, he's in the paint too much.
High-scoring game. Does it favor San Antonio?
I don't know if it favors anybody. Both teams have to defend a little bit better, and we have to rebound the ball much better.
Jeff, thank you. Good luck in the second half. Back out to you, Bob.
Jim, thanks a lot. Time is short, so let's quickly get the thoughts of Doug Collins.
Well, Bob, I think when you talk about San Antonio, Duncan and Robinson still end up with 22 points. The rest of the team 28, and Avery Johnson and Elliott got 18, 17 in entire game 3. So field goal percentage excellent. Well played by both teams. Turnovers were down for San Antonio. Positive sign. Fast break. When New York is at their best, they're running. 17 assists in game 3. Tonight only 5. Bad sign. They have more turnovers than assists. That led to a couple losses in games 1 and 2. They're going to have to take care of the ball.
San Antonio by 4 in game 4. The start of the second half coming up. Final instructions from Jeff Van Gundy as we prepare for the third quarter. Here's a number not reflected on this graphic, but it's amazing considering the fact that Marcus Camby fouled out of 2 of the first 3 games and had 5 fouls in the other one. He's played 19 minutes in the first half. He managed only 16 minutes on the floor in all of game 3, and he hasn't been whistled for a single foul.
We'll see what happens now. He can start taking some more chances. He can be more aggressive on the offensive boards. If he picks up a couple fouls going over the back, it's not as critical. So he needs to really continue to go to that basket.
Spurs in control as we start the second half. Tim Duncan. Johnson poked at it, but got a piece of Duncan for his 3rd foul.
I think it'll be interesting to see which team can make a defensive stand here, get a little bit of grasp of this game defensively. That was the best offensive half that we've seen, Bob, in this series. One of the best halves we've seen the entire playoffs. So who will get a grasp of the other one defensively the quickest?
Larry Johnson whistled for that foul, as many of you may know, certainly everyone in the New York area does. He was fined $25,000 for a profane outburst at an NBA representative during a media session on one of the off days. That's not unprecedented for him.
You know, it's interesting. His persona publicly is that way, Bob. But, you know, when you talk to anybody who played on the team with him, who was coaching, they said he's one of the best teammates you could ever have on your team.
And he's certainly gutting it out on a bad knee in this series. No one expected him to be back for the first 2 games in San Antonio. They thought maybe by the time we got here to New York. The ball was kicked, fresh 24. So you got to give him lots of credit for that. And he's been an all-star player during his career. There are times, however, when he seems to think civility is not called for. Here's Charlie Ward. Sprewell doubled out to Johnson. Sprewell in the corner. Baseline pop. No good. Elliott up top to Ellie. Avery Johnson gets into the paint and throws up that running hook that's no good.
That was a bad shot that time by Avery.
Charlie Ward to the left hand, but doesn't get the roll. But he's playing with so much more confidence than we've seen from him at any time in the last several weeks, let alone this series.
And, Bob, they're going to continue to need that from him. You see tonight what he did, 10 points, 4 of 4. He's perfect in the field, his assists, his steals. But the more aggressive he is, the more than opportunities to get Sprewell in Houston, because they have to now guard him on the floor.
The layup that wouldn't drop was his first miss of the game. Houston gets Elliott off his feet. Now feeds to the corner for Johnson. Shovels it to Camby. Now gets it back against 2 defenders. Robinson blocked it. Duncan saved it. San Antonio with numbers. Mario Ellie finishes it.
Jeff Van Gundy and the Knicks have to be very, very careful right now. San Antonio with a couple good defensive possessions. Larry Johnson's going to drive that baseline, and you see what the shot blocking does. It forces Camby to pass it, and then the 2 Twin Towers, once again, actually both of them got a block shot. It leads to the fast break opportunity. Mario Ellie runs out on the floor, and he gets a layup and the foul. They lead by 8, chance to go up 9, and New York can ill afford to dig themselves a double-figure digit here early in this third quarter.
The foul was on Houston, his second. To be truthful, it didn't appear that there was much contact there. But Ellie is going to get a chance for a 3-point play.
Well, you know, sometimes a referee, it looks like maybe a guy got hit in the head or something like that, and they call that foul. But you're right, Bob. There wasn't a whole lot of contact on that play. But see, San Antonio, the last couple possessions, are starting to make that little defensive stand that they are famous for. And New York has got to execute and continue to get good shots.
Ellie's basket came off an Avery Johnson assist. Avery has 6 assists and just 1 turnover in this game. He turned it over 6 times in game 3.
Well, that was
one of the reasons the Spurs lost.
Absolutely, Bob. One of the keys was they were able to pressure the point guard. And in this whole series, he had 17 assists and 11 turnovers, unlike Avery Johnson. So the ball pressure got him deep into the clock, forced him to not be able to get the ball to the Twin Towers.
Ellie, an excellent free throw shooter, better than 85%, completes the 3-point play. Bouncing to Sprewell. Now Johnson, who juggles it. Ball loose and taken by Elliott. Avery Johnson, Mario Ellie snaps it back inside to Duncan, and it's a double-digit lead, an 11-point advantage for San Antonio.
Duncan is making strong double teams on that post play. Larry Johnson's trying to cut to the basket, Bob, but if he catches it, he can't finish in there.
Houston, Elliott fouled him. Elliott and Houston were teammates in 1994. Elliott's 1 year in Detroit, Houston's rookie year with the Pistons.
See, Tim Duncan goes right to that strong side block and seals Camby. Camby's got to work to get in front of him. Once he gets that ball in there, although Camby can jump, he's not strong enough to prevent him from getting that easy shot.
Sprewell has to arc it high, and it spins out on him. San Antonio led by only 4 at the half. After less than 3 minutes of the third quarter, they're in front by 11. Knicks scoreless in the period. Duncan backing in on Johnson. Fade away. Grabbed by Camby. Johnson might have gotten a small piece of the shot. Now he's back ahead of the field, but they catch up with him. Houston slices into the lane, gives it back to Johnson, and an offensive foul is called. It's number 3 on Houston after the collision in the lane.
Bob, remember I talked about which team is going to get a grasp of the other one defensively? Well, right now it's San Antonio. They're challenging everything. Allen Houston comes over, drives the lane, and here comes David Robinson to take the charge. Duncan's right there for the shot block. So their defense right now is tremendous in the paint. Somebody's going to have to make a shot for New York here. This game is getting away from them.
Duncan returns it to Avery Johnson. Touch pass back to him. Avery drives. May have traveled, and he did.
See if New York, Bob, can go back to that cross screen to get Allen Houston posted up down there. He now has Mario Ellie on him. Maybe go to Sprewell. Elliott has 3 fouls. They need to get his 4th on him if they can, but they got to attack him. There's Allen Houston.
But Robinson is there to block it. Duncan goes to the bank, and it's open for him.
The Spurs are a step quicker defensively tonight. That shot that Allen Houston just got blocked, he finished in Game 3.
20 points for Duncan, matching his Game 3 total.
Allen Houston is being fronted in the post. Watch the reaction of David Robinson. He gets down. This is why at one point in time he was the all-league defensive player and most valuable defender. Robinson reacting to the pass, helping his teammate. Allen Houston is thwarted at the basket, and it leads to this at the other end. Tim Duncan, we've seen him inside, and he knows, he loves that little 45-degree angle bank shot. He kisses it off the glass. The Spurs lead by 13.
You heard what Robinson said. We take a defeat personally. Apparently so.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Pepsi One. True Cola taste 1 calorie. Tastes too good to be called diet. By the 1999 Lexus GS, a car and driver 10 best. By Touchstone Pictures Summer of Sam, starts Friday, July 2nd. And by Adidas, Long Live Sport.
A real key, Bob, tonight has been the play of Larry Johnson, or lack thereof. He's had a tough night. You can see in Game 1 only 5 points. Game 2 only 5 points. Shot 2 of 12. Game 3 broke loose with 16. Tonight only 2, and he has 3 turnovers. It's been a nightmare for Larry Johnson inside against Duncan and Robinson.
Here's Houston. A whistle as the shot swishes, and a chance for a 3-point play.
Well, they needed that. Allen had missed his last 4 shots. He's now 5 of 12 from the floor. They're going to force him baseline, and Duncan just can't get there soon enough. He hits him on the arm. A great extension by Allen Houston, the great follow-through and the concentration, and a much-needed 3-point play.
Duncan's first foul of the night, but still a 10-point San Antonio lead. Robinson with Camby on him with the hook. It rolls around and won't drop. Houston gives it up to Ward. Inside to Camby. Broken up by Duncan.
It's like there's 3 of Duncan and Robinson out there instead of 2. Everywhere the Knicks go, they're being smothered at the basket.
Avery Johnson puts them back up by a dozen.
See, I think New York's looking around a little bit like, where are the fouls? You know, we got these fouls in game 3 tonight. That's not the case.
And this call will go against San Antonio. Avery Johnson second. We go to Jim Gray.
Thanks, Bob. During that timeout, Jeff Van Gundy told his team they want to trap Avery Johnson, get the ball out of his hands, and they're going to double team Tim Duncan on the weak side. Bob?
All right, Jim, it's Ward on the dribble. Thomas screening for him. Cross-court Sprewell behind Camby's screen. He puts the jumper down.
Now, Bob, the reason they're going to do that with Avery Johnson is because that will keep him out of the middle. They're hoping that he can't get in the paint. Teams don't like to trap him. They normally like to go underneath.
Robinson had it knocked away and out of bounds. And he touched it last. He can't believe it and disputed the call with Ron Garrettson. Houston, Camby soars over Duncan for the dunk.
That's the way you take the ball to the basket. No flips, nothing easy. Duncan wanted to take the charge, and Marcus Camby just jumped right over the top of him. More importantly, listen what he has done to this crowd.
Spurs asked for a 20-second timeout just to slow New York's building momentum a bit. Knicks on a 7-2 run.
Well, Sprewell and Houston are the guys that have to get it done. They had 58 points in game 3. 20 in the first half tonight. Sprewell with that little pull-up jump shot, and he buries it. And the next time down the floor, Allen Houston is going to come off that screen roll once again. Camby's going to roll to the basket. David Robinson shows up, and Camby with one dribble and the explosion and the strong finish. New York needs more of that. They've got to continue to challenge Robinson and Duncan, but nothing flipped at the basket.
Jeff Van Gundy was asked again recently about the deal that brought Camby here from Toronto and sent Charles Oakley, a New York favorite, away. And what Van Gundy says now is, it's not that I didn't want Camby. I just couldn't bear to part with Oak.
I think there's a lot to that. You grow fond and in love with players who've given so much to you, but right now, Camby is the superior player, no question.
Houston got a hand on it, but it comes to Avery Johnson. Ellie, the set shot 3, and it's huge for San Antonio.
That is those kiss of death shots that Ellie is so famous for. We've seen him when he was with the Rockets. We saw it earlier against the Rockets on NBC when he hit the big 3 to win the game.
San Antonio in front by 11 again. Houston dumps it inside. Nice feed to Thomas, but Robinson comes over to block it. And you're right, they are everywhere.
And he doesn't have the extension, Bob, to be able to block, to be able to finish like Camby does.
Elliott calls for the ball, slides baseline, and it's sent back in his face by Camby. 4 seconds to shoot as Robinson comes up with it. The Admiral up and under, trying to tip his own miss, and can't get it done. Houston can't hit the 3. Loose ball battle. Avery Johnson scoops it up. And now the ball is kicked. Camby actually stopped it and held it with his foot rather deftly, but that's not allowed.
He looked like a goalie there as he pinned that one.
Here's Mario Ellie. Knocked away by Sprewell. You won't catch him. When he gets a step on you, even with the ball, you can't catch him.
Not only that, but you better not float out some lazy, careless pass. And that's exactly what Ellie did.
And now a whistle from Mike Mathis. Foul on Ward.
Sprewell loves to get into the passing lane. There he is, and that lazy pass. Elliott doesn't meet it, and Ellie is upset. But as you said, Bob, once he gets there, you just better let him go.
Here's Duncan turning and unleashing a jumper that's no good. And now Sprewell is there on the glass. Gets up ahead of steam, into the lane to Camby. Tries to go to the dunk, maybe unnecessarily. Johnson, Ellie, left hand, plus the foul. Now Mario Ellie, who had a very poor game in front of 22 of his friends and family for whom he left tickets in the first game of the series that was played here at the Garden, now has scored 12 points. He has 4 assists, and he's 5 of 6 from the floor.
Well, he's outrunning the floor on the fast break, but all of that is created by the great defense of Robinson and Duncan inside. Jeff Van Gundy, that possession, upset with Mike Mathis, thought there was a foul against Camby, but they have taken everything out of the paint, and then they go back and score the other way, Bob, and this could be one of those 5-point swings we always talk about. So instead of maybe getting it down to 7, it's now 12.
After each big San Antonio hoop, Mario Ellie is finding time to jaw at Spike Lee in the first row of the seats. Sprewell catch and shoot. He has 16. Malik Rose is in. David Robinson gets a rest. Duncan, double teamed, contact and a New York foul. Kurt Thomas, his 4th.
Well, there was so much made of the fouls after game 3. Bob, we heard it the last couple days here about the foul differential after San Antonio had taken 66 free throw attempts to 31 for New York in the first 2 games. It was 30-22 in game 3. Tonight, once again, San Antonio is able to get to that free throw line and be able to defend without getting the fouls around the basket. That's been the big difference right now.
Sean Elliott to the bench. Jaren Jackson in. .21 now for Duncan as he makes 1 of 2. Sprewell trying to spin on Jackson. He's cut off. They work it inside, and Larry Johnson is able to finish it.
Actually, Duncan got a piece of that ball as well. He almost got that from behind. He did touch it, but Johnson still was able to finish it.
Coming over to steal it is Ward, and then he's fouled by Jackson. Ward just snuck in behind Duncan and picked his pocket.
And see, Jaren Jackson's not a great ball handler. You got to read the defense, and you've got to look to see what's behind Tim Duncan. He did not see Charlie Ward laying in there behind. So as Duncan receives this pass, one little bounce, and there is Charlie Ward. He has been great tonight. That's his 4th steal.
Sprewell in the lane, and a foul. It's Jaren Jackson, and that's his 4th. 2:48 to play in the 3rd. Spurs by 9.
The Spurs lead by 9, 2:48 to go in the 3rd quarter, and they've been able to push this lead out because of the greatness of their defense. Duncan and Robinson have been inside, blocking shots. New York really with no place to go. Larry Johnson gets buried underneath the basket, has to kick the ball back out. Allen Houston thinks he's got a layup. Here comes David Robinson. Kurt Thomas thinks he's got a dunk. Here comes David Robinson once again. So right now, the Spurs' little defensive surge. You see tonight, 45% field goals, 7 block shots, and 4 steals. Bob, they're 6 of 15 in this 3rd quarter, only 40% after 47% shooting in that first half.
Sprewell hits the first. As you see, their defense has clamped down harder as the season and then the playoffs have progressed. Game 3 of the finals broke that trend a bit. And this is a relatively high-scoring game. 68-61 now. The Spurs lead trimmed to 7.
Well, New York is still in this game right now. They just have to continue their pressure defense, continue to get better shots at the basket, but this game is still on the balance for them.
Avery Johnson, good game, 12 points, 9 assists to Duncan, then underneath for Rose. Knocked away by Houston, and Rose was the guy who touched it last.
With Malik Rose in the game, see, normally that would be a high pass, and he would dunk the basketball, David Robinson. With Malik Rose, that's not the play. Houston was able to get in there and break that thing up.
Big possession for the Knicks. Sprewell out to Ward. 7 seconds to shoot. Ward with the floater. The rebound to Rose. Johnson pushes it back the other way to the corner for Jackson. It rattles out. That was Kurt Thomas's first rebound of the game. He'd been averaging 11 through the first 3 of the series. Houston out to Sprewell. Off the dribble, leans in, and can't connect. Duncan, Ward helping, leaving Johnson alone.
See, he always goes to the sweet spot. When that ball is double teamed, the spots that he loves on the floor, those are the ones he practices, and Avery Johnson having a great night here tonight.
14 for AJ. Bad night for LJ of the Knicks. Here's Thomas, surrounded and fouled.
Avery Johnson is right here out on the floor, and when he throws it, he says, I love to shoot the ball right here. So he's going to be able to relocate out of the double team, get his feet together, look at his hands are ready, steps right into his shot. That's the one he practices all summer long. So when they double team him, say, I can't hit that shot, they'll have to prove him different.
Foul number 2 on Malik Rose. In his senior year at Texas Christian, Kurt Thomas led the nation in both scoring and rebounding.
Great potential coming out of college, but he's had a lot of foot and leg problems, which really have stymied him a little bit. He's made a nice little comeback here with New York, but they need him to step up and make those free throws when you're trying to get back in this game.
We got a McGuire-Maris score, 70-61.
I knew your baseball reference would come out sooner or later, Bob.
Jackson almost spoiled it, but his shot wouldn't stay down. It's still 70-61. Avery Johnson will put it in play. 49 seconds and change on the clock. Mario Ellie bumped, but he initiated the contact. Offensive foul.
Do you see how much different the game is when David Robinson's out there? When they don't have both big guys, New York can do a better job of being able to get in the lane defensively because you've got a Malik Rose there who can't finish as well. So they're getting a nice rest for Robinson, but San Antonio's struggling now to score.
Sprewell. Rose trying to guard him. Jumper over him.
Bob, you can't scare him off the shot by looking at him. You got to get a hand up. This Latrell Sprewell, he's going to shoot the ball.
20 for Latrell, half of them in this third quarter. Jaren Jackson fakes his way around Houston. Malik Rose is there with a big follow. 4.5 seconds for the Knicks to get off the quarter's last shot. Charlie Ward from half court. Malik Rose makes it a 9-point difference after 3. And we're back after these words from your local station. You're watching the NBA Finals on NBC.
This copyrighted telecast of the National Basketball Association is intended solely for the entertainment of our audience, and any retransmission, reproduction, rebroadcast, or other dissemination or use of this telecast, or of the pictures, descriptions, or accounts of this game, without the express written consent of the National Basketball Association, is prohibited.
As usual, plenty of familiar faces at the Garden for a big playoff game. Evander Holyfield, who must not be in training. Earlier, I saw him wolf down 2 hot dogs. Ben Stiller. James Caan. JFK Jr. And upstairs, Tiger Woods. 2 Saturday Night Live alums who've gone on to movie stardom. Adam Sandler and Billy Crystal. And Woody Allen. Spike says fourth quarter, we're coming back. But they're in a 9-point hole.
Well, Bob, they better. They cannot get down 3-1. They will not win the last 3 games this series. So it's going to take everything New York has in this fourth quarter. The crowd, execution, effort, defense, the whole thing to be able to pull this win out now.
Do they make it a best 2 out of 3 by pulling even, or are they pushed to the brink? Thomas gets them 2 points closer. They swing it to the corner for Jaren Jackson. Now it's Sean Elliott. They're patient, still plenty of time. 7 on the 24. Elliott's got a good look at it, and he drills it.
He has got to continue to be aggressive. When he shoots the ball well, he changes their entire team.
He's in double figures now with 10. Allen Houston trying to bring the Knicks back.
When you can shoot the basketball like that, you can post further on the floor because you can just catch and shoot it. That's what Allen Houston just did.
Relatively quiet night for him so far. 15 points. And a travel on Duncan.
Jeff Van Gundy has totally changed his defense on the screen roll. It's what he told Jim Gray at halftime. They're jumping out hard now on Avery Johnson, and you can see he's not getting in the lane.
Whistle as Houston starts his move on Elliott, and a travel on Allen Houston. So an exchange of walking violations. San Antonio ball.
Allen has a tendency sometimes to shuffle his feet. Got caught that time by Mike Mathis.
Tim Duncan threw it away. Avery Johnson couldn't corral it.
Tim Duncan showed a little bit of this. Remember, Bob, in Game 3, he turned the ball over the first 2 times he touched it. Now, he's played all but 1 minute in this game tonight. David Robinson checks back into the game after a great rest, so he should be fresh. But Duncan with 2 really careless turnovers.
They set it up the same way. Houston along the left sideline, now to Sprewell, explodes into the lane, but Duncan is there to get a piece of it.
That's an 8th block shot. They've been averaging 7 in the series, only 3 then in Game 3, but tonight, once again, the shot blocking a major factor.
Robinson is pushed and fouled.
Latrell Sprewell thinks, I've got a layup. Doesn't realize Tim Duncan is behind him. Just a piece of it, then controls the rebound. So get an opportunity there, Bob, to cut it to 5. The block shot, sideline out of bounds now for San Antonio as Jaren Jackson steps out and Mario Ellie back into the game.
After Thomas's 5th foul, he sits down. Camby in for it. Duncan to Elliott. Pull up. Won't go. Robinson on the offensive glass, but the foul is on him. 3 on the Admiral. 9:48 to play in the 4th. Spurs by 7.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Original Coors. There's only 1 mile-high taste. Coors, the original. By Chrysler, engineered to be great cars. By Mystery Men from Universal Pictures. Starts Friday, July 30th at theaters everywhere, rated PG-13. And by Sprite. Image is nothing, thirst is everything. Obey your thirst. Sprite.
San Antonio leads by 7, 9:48 to go in the fourth quarter, and it's been the supporting cast for David Robinson and Tim Duncan tonight. Robinson and Duncan with 29, but Mario Elie and Malik Rose off a miss from Jaren Jackson. Sean Elliott with a spot-up jump shot. These guys have been terrific tonight. We talked about it before the game. Tonight, these guys have a combined 37 points. In Game 3, only 22 points. So Robinson and Duncan's numbers are down. These guys have picked it up.
And so, at least tonight, they don't miss Jaren Jackson, who remains cold, 1 for 7. Johnson poked it away. Nick ball, 16 on the shot clock.
Bob, I think New York's had about 3 chances here to cut this thing to 5. Basket here, this crowd will really erupt.
It's Houston. And there's a whistle. He'll come to the foul line with a chance to cut it to 5. Mario Elie is the guilty party. It's his 4th. Tomorrow night, join NBC for must-see TV Thursday. Friends, Jesse, Frazier, and Will and Grace, plus the drama of ER. Thursday night, beginning at 8 Eastern, 7 Central on NBC. As we pointed out at the beginning of the broadcast tonight, you think about this wild ride for the Knicks into the finals. It could have ended in Game 5 of the first round. If Houston's shot with less than a second to go doesn't bounce around and fall in, their season's over. Van Gundy's almost certainly fired. The Camby trade is a bust. Sprewell is still regarded as the guy who choked his coach, first and foremost. And the Knicks are a distant memory as the playoffs proceed. Here's the jumper by Elliott that won't drop. Robinson for the tip. Another try. When the Knicks needed to be on the defensive glass there with a chance to get the ball and move to within 3, San Antonio got several cracks at it instead.
Well, they've been beaten on the boards tonight, 34-24, and critical offensive rebounds. So Latrell Sprewell lays that ball in the basket. But Bob, just to follow up on your point about New York, it just always points out to you how fragile success is. This time it was one bounce of the ball in a basket.
22 now for Spree. Johnson gets into the lane, switches to the right hand. Duncan is there to follow, and he was fouled.
The offensive opportunities, David Robinson tipped it. He tips it once again. He and Duncan both get a hand on that one. So the tip in, the offensive rebound, Sprewell scores, and then Avery Johnson drives into the middle, misses a shot, and Duncan with another offensive rebound. So, again, every time Avery Johnson gets in that paint, it causes problems.
Duncan gets them both, makes it a 7-point game. This after Camby's first foul. He's been in constant foul trouble in this series prior to tonight. Sprewell finds Camby, changes his shot, but draws the contact that will send him to the foul line. It's Robinson's 4th.
San Antonio just does not like to double team. It gets him spread out. Duncan has to go out and help, and when he does, it leaves David Robinson back there by himself. He's late getting there. Camby sort of the up and under, and David with the foul. So now Camby with 2 free throws.
Not a good free throw shooter. Speaking of Camby, not Robinson. Big miss.
Well, they need them all right now. You can ill afford as you're trying to catch up. They're playing from behind tonight, Bob. They played ahead the entire Game 3. Tonight, they're playing from behind.
Van Gundy usually goes to Childs in the 4th quarter. Ward is still in there. Is this Charlie's big game tonight, or the lingering effects of Childs' injury? Maybe a combination of the two?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of the two, and I would not be surprised if they need a little offense here to go to that backcourt that we talked about. Sprewell, Houston in the backcourt maybe cause some problems rather than to come back with Childs.
6-point game. Mario Elie flips it to Duncan. He gets Camby off his feet, misses, but a foul. It's Larry Johnson, his 4th. This has not been Larry Johnson's night. Meanwhile, here's another turnaround stat. Offensive rebounds, which have been almost non-existent for the Spurs prior to tonight in this series. They've got a dozen, and Robinson has 9 of them.
Well, remember after game 2, we talked about that they had 9 total offensive rebounds in the first 2 games, and Duncan had 8 of them. Tonight, that's really been a key factor because it's given them multiple shots at the basket, something they had not been getting.
Seven-point game after Duncan makes 1 of 2. Here's Houston accelerating baseline. Camby, turnaround, short. Who touched it last? San Antonio.
You see how quickly Bob Camby shot that ball? Almost the presence of Duncan and Robinson. He never even got himself turned to the basket. He turned and just got his shoulders halfway square. He's got to take a look at that basket. He's got the extension to shoot over those guys.
It isn't just the ones they block. It's the idea that they're always lurking there somewhere.
Now watch Camby here, Bob, as he catches this ball. He never really gets turned. He sees Robinson out of the corner of his eyes, and he turns and just sort of quick shoots it. Never gets a good look at the basket. Got to take his time here. He can make that shot.
Wanted to drop the Spurs in game 4, so they called on their heavyweight Allen Houston. The star of game 3 came out punching. It was a 1-2 combination with the aggressive style of Latrell Sprewell, giving the Spurs a good fight. But Tim Duncan knows how to throw his share of counter punches. Early in the third, the Spurs landed a flurry and went up 13. The Knicks have been on the ropes, but they haven't gone down yet. Is it knockout time? Even Evander doesn't know for sure. And I believe we've carried that metaphor about as far as humanly possible. After the timeout, 7:43 remains. Charlie Ward with Johnson on him. And an illegal defense is called. Another technical will be shot by the Knicks. Greg Popovich has shortened his bench in this second half. Malik Rose and Jaren Jackson, the only reserves to get any kind of minutes here since intermission.
Bob, that always happens come final time when you get deep into the playoffs. Everybody always talks about depth, depth, and depth. And you know what happens? You get down to about 6 or 7 guys. You play your stars heavy minutes. You rest them. That's the way it goes.
Get to within 4 if they score here. Houston driving on Elliott. Out to Johnson. Into the lane. Lost it. Got it back. Fade away. Got a piece of it. Duncan picks it up. Ellie's ahead of the field. And a big turnaround there.
See, remember that play right there. Larry Johnson just cannot finish in there over David Robinson or Duncan. That shot was blocked as the clock was winding down. Nobody got back. So once again, New York trying to get that thing under 6 or 7. They just can't do it.
Instead of 4, it's 8. Ward for 3. And the tip for Sprewell. Wow, he soared on that.
This guy's got more energy. I don't know of another player other than maybe Michael Jordan I've seen with that kind of energy. Now, Michael didn't play with that kind of recklessness. He was much more controlled, but this guy has got unbelievable endurance.
Robinson, the hook. Duncan, the tip. Doesn't get the roll. Johnson claims it. Again, a chance to close within 4. Sprewell is collared. And maybe they can do it at the foul line.
Bob, I'm tired watching this guy. Watch this tip in. This ball goes up. Where does he come from? Soaring from the baseline. Great elevation. And then after the miss, he just goes sprinting down the side. Sean Elliott cannot keep up with him. The pump fake. Now he'll have 2 free throws. More importantly, that's the 4th team foul. They'll be shooting free throws the rest of this quarter.
Knicks trailed by 4 at the half. Went down 13 in the third. They can get back to 4 if Sprewell hits this. It's a game again.
The man has always been Duncan. Do they go inside to Duncan? Do they force a double team? And do one of the perimeter players be able to step up and hit some shots here for San Antonio?
Mario Ellie. The lob to Duncan and coming over to attempt the steal is Sprewell, but it's a moot point because a 3-second violation was called on the Spurs.
The Spurs have to be very careful not to get too stagnant. Remember, they got off to a great start, screen roll, getting everybody involved. 3-second violation. Knicks can cut it to 2. 1 with a three-pointer.
Houston, 2-point game. For number 20. Timeout San Antonio. Their lead trimmed to a bucket.
New York runs a screen roll. They get a switch with Allen Houston posting Avery Johnson. The double team cannot get there soon enough. Allen Houston realizes he shoots it quickly, and he gets a score, and you're going to see the reaction. This is more animated than I've ever seen Allen Houston. And the great end zone replay here. Where's the crowd?
Here comes Sean Elliott steaming into the front court. His pass is broken up, and the Knicks take it away.
The speed of Latrell Sprewell. He was beaten on the play, ran in from behind. A magnificent play by Sprewell.
New York looks to tie. And the whistle from Hugh Evans.
Sean Elliott's got him beat. He's got him beat by 2 strides. This guy could be a quarter miler with his speed. Sean Elliott was not aware of it, and the play from behind. And Bob, again, the importance of getting to that free throw line in the fourth quarter. They're in the penalty. Now Charlie Ward is shooting it to try to tie this game.
He won't do it on this trip.
Remember how we talked in Game 3 how important it was for New York not to let San Antonio get the lead? I think San Antonio is probably saying the same thing right now. We cannot allow the Knicks to get the lead.
San Antonio by 1. The Spurs have been the league's best road team in the regular season and playoffs. Robinson's jumper falls through. Spurs trying to do it into the teeth of a hostile, rabid New York crowd in front by 3 with exactly 5 minutes left. Ellie on Houston, takes him baseline. The jumper won't go. Rebound Robinson. Duncan to the hook.
What poise coming out of that timeout. They get a defensive stop. They get 2 scores. 1 goes to 5. And it's David Robinson again, Tim Duncan. The supporting cast is great, but your stars win championships for you. And David Robinson, sometimes the forgotten man, not tonight. You see the little jump hook in the lane? And then his partner in the post, Tim Duncan. That little jump hook over Larry Johnson. Once again, it's a 5-point lead.
And does he know how to use the glass? You're watching the NBA Finals on NBC. Following your late local news, The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, our Ahmad Rashad among the guests, and following Jay, it's Late Night with Conan O'Brien. Now, for those of you who want more basketball coverage immediately following the conclusion of our telecast here on NBC, switch over to cable's CNBC for a full post-game report, including the observations of Snapper Jones and Bill Walton.
Now, Bob, you were on Conan O'Brien. You'll be on tonight. Do I have to watch, or will you tell me what's going on here? What's going on?
Tapes available for a nominal fee. These are tough bookings for NBC. Ahmad on The Tonight Show, me on Conan. Going to the stable. Here's Charlie Ward on the run. His pass intercepted by Mario Elie. He goes 1-on-3. Johnson with contact, and Elie will come to the foul line. Mario has had a good game, both defensively and offensively. Johnson picks up his 5th foul.
You always tell people, if you leave your feet, be a shooter. Don't be a passer. He got in the air, no place to go. Mario Elie with the great steal, now the finish. Much different night tonight for Mario Elie, and Jeff Van Gundy says, oh, no. When you get yourself down like this, you almost have to have a perfect finish. A missed field goal by Allen Houston, the turnover now. Chris Childs.
Mario Elie, the Power Memorial High School product. New York City lad makes 1 of 2. Rare free throw miss for him. But he scored 16 points, has 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. Here's Sprewell through a crowd to Camby. He was fouled, and it stayed down.
I keep talking about Marcus Camby. He's the only guy on New York that can do this. Once again, it's Sprewell driving to the basket, and he finds Camby. Like I said, don't leave your feet unless you're going to shoot it, I guess, unless you're Sprewell. And the dunk by Camby just muscled that one in.
Fouled by David Robinson. Mike Lupica has a story in today's New York Daily News about how David Robinson's picture used to adorn the wall of Marcus Camby's apartment in North Hartford, Connecticut. And Robinson had written to Marcus, I've seen you play. You have most of what it takes. Do you have the drive? The Knicks picking up some drive here as the ball is thrown away. An inexplicable turnover.
This New York team will just not die. They will not go away. The great three-point play, and then Tim Duncan. You got to remember, after a score, Bob, you can run that side, that inline. He did not. He turned it over. Careless play. New York once again can get within 1 or tie it with a 3.
Sprewell, 4 minutes on the clock. Sprewell pops. It rattles out. Tough luck on the shot for Spree there. Sean Elliott, huge shot. Can't hit it. Duncan, loose ball foul. 3 on him.
And Larry Johnson will be able to go down to the line and shoot 2. Tim Duncan is blocked out beautifully. And you see the little shove in the back. See what you have to do there, Bob, you have to use your legs, and you have to be able to try to nudge him with your legs. The minute you get your hands up, they're going to call a foul.
2-point difference, 3:40 remaining. Timeout Spurs, 1 more coming from Johnson when we come back. After these messages and a word from your local station. The Knicks' last lead came midway through the second period at 39-38. They are back to within 2 here. 3 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. Larry Johnson has another free throw coming.
When you look at Tim Duncan, in Game 3, he had 5 turnovers, 3 in the fourth quarter. Tonight he has 4 in the fourth quarter.
Let's check with Jim Gray.
All right, Bob. Jeff Van Gundy just told his guys on defense, if you get to stop, try and run with the ball. But take a good shot, not the first shot. And he also said defensively, if we miss, get back on transition. No easy baskets at this point. Bob?
It stays at 2.
See, that's why Popovich waited to take the timeout between free throws. He sort of iced Larry Johnson. He didn't wait for him to shoot his second.
Duncan to Robinson. Stripped away. Still San Antonio ball. Johnson finally gets it into Duncan. Elie for 3. Not this time. The rebound to Johnson. Again, they can tie or take the lead with a three. Allen Houston. Robinson will take it. "16 rebounds tonight for David Robinson. Sean Elliott on the move, poked away, and a foul. It's Camby's second.
More importantly, it's the team's fifth, so Sean Elliott will shoot 2 free throws. Now, Bob, remember, he had just missed a 3 on the swinging of the double team about 2 possessions before. This time he said, I'm going to drive the ball to the basket. Smart play there by Sean Elliott to drive in there and get that foul.
Sean Elliott didn't go to the free throw line in games 1 and 3 and made just 1 of 5 from the stripe in game 2. Obviously a much better shooter than that, and hits this one.
You see season scoring first round, second round on through the conference finals was terrific. In the 99 finals, only 8 points. Tonight, been much more of a factor. Got off to a great start.
88-84. Sprewell. Charlie Ward for 3. Ellie saves it into Robinson. The Knicks have had several chances to tie or to take the lead for that matter. Now they desperately need a stop to avoid going down 6. Robinson. The basket will not count. But with the Knicks over the limit, Robinson comes to the line for 2. Last night, Doug, I saw something that actually gave me goosebumps. I happened to be in a Manhattan restaurant, and David Robinson and his father Ambrose were in the restaurant. And he was chatting with the New York fans. Obviously, everyone there following the finals. They're all New York fans. When this impressive man got up to leave and walked out, everyone in the restaurant applauded. All of them New York fans, but a measure of the respect they have for this man, not just as an athlete, but as a person.
That is amazing. I think it also shows the class of this city and the class of David Robinson. As we have a timeout, Spurs lead by 5. He'll be shooting his second free throw when we come back. Well, we know everything begins and ends with Tim Duncan and David Robinson. The numbers speak for themselves, 39, 31, and 6 tonight. Critical baskets. Tim Duncan with a deep post position. Once again, he gets very deep post position and to score. David Robinson has been unbelievable on the offensive boards. He has 9 offensive rebounds tonight in the game. Big jump hook in the lane as New York was coming back. The block shots, the scoring, they've just entirely changed this entire game. And can they hold on? Again, you see, Bob, 39 points, 31 rebounds, and 6 blocks. And how many other alterations around the basket where they changed shots and had the Knicks looking for them as they tried to score.
Had more alterations than a Macy's tailor on a busy day.
You notice with San Antonio, I've not noticed this through entire playoffs. They'll meet with Greg Popovich, and before they come out on the floor, they'll all gather together and make sure they all know what they want to do, what their assignments are, what they have to do. 209. If they can get this last 209 and go up 3-1, I do not think the Knicks can fight back from that. That would be a monumental hill to climb.
Robinson with 14 points. More importantly, San Antonio up 6. Houston faking around Ellie. Here's Ward. Shot clock winding down. Sprewell will take it with a hand in his face, and Robinson pulls it down.
New York fans wanted goaltending. That ball was well short when Robinson went up to get it.
Clock winding down toward a minute and a half. Gets it back. Huge offensive rebound.
See, new 24 now, so they're going to get probably over 40 seconds on this possession. If they score here to push it to 8. Running out of time. This was the shot that the New York fans wanted goaltending on. You're going to see, wow, that was pretty close. It was pretty close. You see them all pointing up. David Robinson took that one out of the sky before it had a chance to hit the basket, but it did look like it was going to be short, as we see a dejected Larry Johnson.
And it's Avery Johnson at the free throw line.
Help me out here, Coach Costas, on this shot here. What do you think? Is it short? Is it goaltending?
Ooh, it's close.
That is close. Man, that is a big non-call. That would have cut it to 4.
But Johnson can't increase it to 8. It stays at 6 as he misses them both. Sprewell tries to cut it in half, but can't. Duncan grabs the rebound. Was that the right shot to take?
I don't like that shot for Sprewell. I think he can get the ball to the basket. You know, he's not a good three-point shooter. I don't know if it was a 3 or whether his toes were on the line, but I think that's one of those shots that you give Sprewell.
Now with 57.8 on the clock, it's Elliott's turn at the line, trying to increase a 6-point lead. No team has ever come back from a 3-1 deficit to win the NBA Finals. It has happened in earlier rounds of the playoffs.
Well, if New York loses this game tonight, Bob, it wasn't from lack of effort. I mean, they have played an inspired, tough basketball game. We'll point back to that start of that third quarter when San Antonio pushed the lead from 4 at halftime to 13. New York has not been able to overcome that little surge to start that quarter.
Back to the Garden after this. With the game up for grabs, the Knicks have missed their last 5 shots. Meanwhile, Sean Elliott has been a key for San Antonio after 7 quiet points in the Game 3 loss. He's doubled that tonight to 14. 6 of them have come in the fourth quarter. He's also thrown in 4 assists.
Well, he's a big part of their team, and what he does is he forces Sprewell to have to try to guard. On the other end, maybe use a little energy up. But Bob, the rebounding 47 to 31 tonight for San Antonio. Duncan and Robinson have 33. They have out-rebounded the Knicks team by themselves. That's really the critical stat. That's plus 16 on the boards. And remember, one of the things that New York did in Game 3, they got 13 more shots at the basket because of those hustle plays.
Kurt Thomas, who had been averaging 11 rebounds a game through the first 3, played 18 minutes tonight and had 1.
There's that little huddle once again of San Antonio talking to each other. And guys, this game is not over. We got about another minute to play. Do what we have to do. Stay involved. No fouls. No turnovers. Take care of the basketball. It's what good teams do, Bob. They talk amongst themselves right here.
New York down 8 with less than a minute to go. Ward. They'd like a 3 if they can get a good look. Thomas has it shoved right back in his face by David Robinson.
See the agility of their big men. They're going to switch anything that happens right now. Normally you can't do that with big guys. It gets a mismatch. Not with these two guys.
Allen Houston lets it go. The rebound to Duncan, fouled over the back. So now they face, speaking of the Knicks, a comeback from a 3-1 deficit. It has never happened in the finals. It has happened in the conference finals and in the semis, as you see.
Bob, I've been a part of two trivia questions. 1981, I was part of that Philly team. In 1977, Portland and Philly. So I don't like these graphics that NBC keeps throwing. It brings back a lot of bad memories for me. To talk to our guys in the truck here.
We hope your paycheck serves as some sort of salve to the wound. That's how we make it up to you. Now it's 10 points. Sprewell weaves his way through. Thomas pops the jumper short. Camby follows and hits. Ellie trapped in the backcourt, gets rid of it to Duncan. Last half minute, Avery Johnson. It's a 2-on-1. The lob to the Admiral. It goes through his hands. And the Knicks get it back with 25 seconds.
See, Avery Johnson should have just dribbled the clock out, made him come foul him. You don't need to make that play right now.
Sprewell, Camby stuffs it, and they close to within 6. Stranger things have happened. And a foul in the backcourt.
Tim Duncan's getting locked into one spot here out of bounds. He's got to remember he can run. He's like getting cemented to that one position. Bob, after a made field goal, you can move that baseline. Then the worst thing that happens, you don't force a pass and you call timeout.
Remember, when you're talking about coming back from a 3-1 deficit, the Knicks would have to do it against a team that hasn't lost as many as 2 in a row in 4 months. They'd have to win Game 5 here on their home floor and then beat the Spurs back-to-back in Games 6 and 7 at a wild Alamo Dome.
Well, it's going to take everything that Jeff Van Gundy has tomorrow to get this team ready for Game 5. This team has given him their heart and soul, and he's got to say, guys, anything can happen. We've got to push it back to San Antonio to a Game 6, but he's going to have to give his best speeches to make that happen.
He's got to give them the not in our house speech.
Absolutely.
If they're going to win it, don't let them do it on our floor. Sprewell. Camby back to Spree, to the hoop. Thomas takes the rebound with 6 seconds to go. He's fouled. And I've seen that happen as well, where teams that had no realistic chance to win the series nonetheless dug their heels in and said, we're going to do what we can for the sake of pride to let you know that you were in a fight.
Hey, Bob, how about last year, as early as last year? I mean, Utah coming into the United Center in Chicago were down, 3-1. Looked like they were going to lose all 3 games there and came back and got the Game 5 to push it back. And then the Chicago Bulls were able to win Game 6. But I didn't think they would win that game. So anything can happen.
But at least Utah was going home.
Absolutely. That's a big difference.
The Spurs win it 96-89. Midway through the 4th quarter, it was 81-79 San Antonio. Ward had a chance to tie. If he hit 2 free throws, he made 1. It was 81-80, and that's as close as they got. They could never get all the way over the hump.
Well, how reminiscent is that of Game 3 when San Antonio tied and Allen Houston's 3, and they never led in the game. So San Antonio fought them off. 8 of 23 field goals in the 4th quarter for New York.
Here's Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Bob. David, we talked a couple of weeks ago, and you told me about winning. You need everybody on this team. Tonight, a pretty good team effort.
It really was. We made a lot of mistakes. I mean, it was not characteristic of us, but we hung in there, and everybody contributed. Guys came down. They were aggressive. JJ was more aggressive tonight, looking for his shots. Sean did a great job really coming in for us tonight.
Something you guys haven't been especially strong at, offensive rebounds. You were very strong this evening.
Yeah, we really made a point of it because last game, I thought it really hurt us. That's when they got the key shots down the stretch. Allen Houston hit the 3, and Camby got 1. So we came in with a focus on that tonight.
And you also told me that after losing the last game, this one here sort of refocused everything.
I tell you, after a loss this year, every loss, we've gotten ourselves together. Guys searching themselves. You're looking at each other in the locker room and hate each other. It makes you come back and be ready for the next game. I thought we had a great focus in the 1st quarter tonight.
All right, David, congratulations. We'll see you on Friday.
Thanks, Ahmad.
All right. Back to you, Bob.
Ahmad, thank you. That is one impressive man, the admirable Admiral.
Bob, I go back to when he was at the Naval Academy. I had the great opportunity to broadcast his games. I'll never forget when they lost in the NCAA tournament to Duke in the Eastern Regional Finals, going in to say bye and say thanks. He was dressed in his whites, the Naval Academy whites, and I'll never forget just the way he looked in that uniform. He's quite a man.
We know we have Game 5, 9 o'clock Eastern time from here at Madison Square Garden on Friday. If the Knicks win, Game 6 Sunday. If there's a Game 7, it's Tuesday in San Antonio. Coming up next, after your late local news, it's The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. That's followed by Late Night with Conan O'Brien. For those of you who'd like to continue with NBA coverage, a post-game report is immediately available on CNBC. For Doug Collins, Ahmad Rashad, and Jim Gray, I'm Bob Costas. This has been the NBA Finals on NBC.